Well, what do you know? Another NBA season is upon us. I have been waiting since June. I was going to say the end of May, but since June to make this particular episode. Man, the time for the NBA to kick off is right around the corner. And I'm going to make some predictions and tell you how your favorite team might miss the playoffs entirely. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And as I mentioned, man, I am really excited to get into this episode. I have been waiting for a very long, boring off season of the NBA to finally be at this moment where preseason basketball kicked off yesterday in Dubai. So preseason basketball will be running the table. I believe their game scheduled for today. It's Friday. And man, yeah, so just a few weeks away from NBA tip-off. And in this episode, I actually want to go through, kind of preview just the top 10 teams in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference, in my opinion, and show you how that playoff picture is going to shape itself out. But man, before we dive too deep in this content, do me a huge favor, like the video. Liking the video helps us cruise along algorithm avenue, helps us get into the presence of individuals like yourself who might be interested in this kind of content. Also, subscribe to the channel. Clicking that notification bell as well helps you to stay in the loop as to when my newest episodes are uploaded. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, I am entitling today's episode 2025-26 NBA season predictions. Man, we about to get it in. I am so excited. As I said, man, it's been a long, really and truly, in my opinion, a really uneventful off season. But if there's one thing that we can look forward to in the off season for the NBA, and I guess I can say what has made the NBA offseason not that interesting, is that there weren't a lot of like major names moving throughout the league, but that's okay. You know what I mean? It's good for parity's sake to kind of keep some teams in place. And then there are still a lot of shifting that took place from a role player standpoint that is going to help some of these teams tremendously. But I do want to say, in waiting for the NBA to ramp up, kick off, get started, going throughout our summer, one of the things that you can always bank on, there's like a few things that you can always bank on. And to me, one of those things is a skinny Zion Williamson. And we got a skinny Zion Williamson, much skinnier Zion Williamson than I think that I can remember. I saw reports that said he's back down to his weight from Duke, but I don't think this kid was this small at Duke. Like he little. He looking scary little. He's looking like Serena Williams little right now, and I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, give my people some food, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, you know what I mean? Zion, blink, man, if you need our help, bro. Like, it's crazy. This dude is so small, but it might be a great thing for Zion. We'll talk about that as we go along. Another one of the things that you can bank on in the off season and ramping up and waiting, anticipating for an NBA season to kick off, is some kind of Ben Simmons news. What's normally been like knocking out jump shots on Instagram and a video posted that shows us that, man, like, yo, Ben's like working on his outside jumper, boy. Y'all know the league about to be in trouble. We didn't really get that this summer, but we did. We have in the last, I'd say like through August, first couple weeks of August, a bunch of teams kind of vying for the hope of Ben Simmons coming to play for their team. Golden State Warriors is one of such teams. Ben's been turning down offers. I think New York he turned down, and like a few others. So interesting, man. I think Ben Simmons has finally accepted that it's over, which, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not celebrating. I'm not like tap dancing on the dude's forehead by any regard. can't tell you that I'm a Ben Simmons fan, so to speak, to be honest. But I just kind of hate the way his career played out in, like, say, the last 5 seasons or so, man, since that choke job in the playoffs. And Philly is, man, you know what I mean? Like, pray for the brother, man. You know what I'm saying? But Ben Simmons being among, the other things that we would typically hear, skinny Zion, Ben shooting jumpers and knocking things down. So Ben's in the news. Another thing that will typically be in the news is some kind of LeBron James story. Some kind of way LeBron James is inserting himself or injecting himself into, the picture with some kind of a narrative that we can carry, into the season starting. And, yeah, that kind of happened here a few days ago. And so I want to share what was shocking to me was JJ Redick, coming out in a press conference after practice. Maybe the question was like, yo, where's LeBron? Where's LeBron? And JJ has some really interesting comments that I want to share here. Let's let you guys hear from JJ.
I felt, and talking with performance, talking with Mike and LeBron, like he probably did too much last year in camp, which was great for me as a first year head coach to get buy-in from him. But it'll be a slower process with him leading into the first game. He's obviously got 22 years so far of wear and tear on the body, dealing with a little bit of nerve irritation in the glutes, nerve irritation in the glutes, nerve irritation in the glutes, nerve irritation in the glutes. So just we're playing the long game with LeBron.
Nerve irritation in the glute. What the fuck is going on here? Nerve irritation in the glute. Bro, in all the years that I've watched professional basketball, in all the years that I've watched professional sports, I have never, until now, heard of a person having nerve irritation in their glute muscles. I ain't nobody ever had ass pain, ass soreness, ass nerve damp. Nobody, bro, but LeBron. Of course it would be for LeBron. Of course it would be LeBron. But what makes this story even more disturbing is that while he's purportedly out because he's got some kind of a butt injury, he's on the internet on Kai Cenat's stream making a butt of himself and JJ Redick. I'll let y'all see it.
A few moments later.
Well, you got butt nerve damage to me. He out here shooting jumpers. You know what I'm saying? Like doing the thing.
Hello, excuse me, are y'all on drugs or something?
Bro, are y'all on drugs or something? We gotta stop. We gotta stop it with this silliness. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Those things are dominating in the news cycle as you would typically, kind of expect gearing up into an NBA season, man. So, I mean, hey, man, we got some LeBron James news. He got a butt injury, apparently. You know what I mean? So, like, some pain in his butt. I think he's been a pain in the butt to the NBA, all this time. So maybe that's the next portion of the humiliation, ritual for him to, man, go through and endure. But if you believe in that sort of a thing, conspiracy-wise. But, hey, man, it is what it is. So I want to actually discuss in this episode as we go about here. You will notice here on screen the game plan. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run down a 4-portion game plan where we're going to talk about the East top 10, my opinion of the East top 10 teams as it stands with the injuries, with, people being out, with the shifting landscape in terms of role players being on teams, etc. I'm going to talk about who I feel are going to, when the dust settles and it all clears come May, these will be the top teams entering the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying that I'm right. It's just my opinion. And if you have a differing opinion, I welcome you to warm up the comment section and let me know where you agree, where you disagree, where your opinion differs, etc. Man, we're going to get into it. But I'm going to talk about the East top 10 first. Then I'm going to get into the standings for the Eastern Conference based on the top 10 list that I give. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to look at it one more time. I'm going to let you see it, digest it. Then I'm going to move on to the West top 10. and then I'm going to get into the standings for the West top 10 as well. Clear on the game plan. There it is, man. We have it set. I'm going to do this a little bit different than I normally do. And when I say normally, I just mean last year when I produced this kind of episode. What I did was I went through the entire Eastern Conference, Western Conference, starting with who I thought would be the number one seed. I don't want to do that this year. This year, I'm going to start with I'm going to go from 10 to 1. So I'm going to do this in reverse order because it should be a lot more fun that way. And it'll leave a bit of suspense. So if you don't see your team, maybe they either didn't make the playoffs at all, or maybe I'm saving them as we go from 10 to 1. Got me? All right, cool. First, we're going to start off with the team that I believe will be the number 10 seed in the Eastern Conference this year is going to be the Boston Celtics, that everybody's counting out the Boston Celtics. You know, the Boston Celtics that saw Jason Tatum suffer a hamstring injury a Achilles tear in the playoffs. JT looks like he put on some weight. Obviously, he's not able to do like much working out. He did an interview with ESPN a couple weeks ago. I mean, the weight looks good on him, man. But he looks happy. He looks mentally healthy. He talked about his battle with mental health. He talked about also how don't write him off for this season. It's not a foregone conclusion that he's not gonna play this season. So chill on that idea. He's doing everything in his physical power, not rushing himself, but doing everything in his physical power to get himself ready, and he can potentially play. If you think back to Kevin Durant, when he blew his Achilles, he was actually capable, cleared to play, so he could have played during the bubble run toward that Disney championship, but he chose not to. He said, nah, I'll just not play, and I'll just, kind of continue to work and have myself ready for next season. So Jason Tatum says, man, you know what, man, I can possibly go. So with that, even without Jason Tatum, I'm not going to summarily dismiss that, man, Boston could possibly make some noise this year. I like personally what Boston has done with their team so far. They got rid of Drew Holiday, which kind of sucks. You know what I mean? So let's say got rid of or lost him as a result of having to do some things contractually to stay under the second apron and stay out of the luxury tax. So those things I understand, man. But it kind of is what it is. Jaylen Brown will be leading the team. They lost Kristaps Porzingis as well, so no help from Kristaps. They subsequently lose Al Horford, who's been playing a very vital key role. They also lost Luke Cornett, who played he would stir things up off the bench. So they're going to miss, those players for sure. But I think that Boston has done something that I really, really like personally. I think they've sneakily gotten younger. And, man, I love that more than anything else. Jaylen Brown will be the leader of this team this year. He had a 22.2 point per game average last season, 5 boards. Let's call it 6 boards, 5.8 rebounds, 4.5 assists on 46.3% shooter. So I see those numbers obviously increasing without JT in the mix. Derek White is going to play a much more critical role this year. His offense is going to be relied upon heavily, and Derek can actually fill it up, man. This dude can play basketball. 16.4 boards was his, or 16.4 points a game was his average last year. 4.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists on 44.2% shooting from the field. Love that they're bringing back Peyton Pritchard. Peyton's been, coming into his own and finding his way over the years. So I'm really, really a huge fan of Peyton Pritchard. Love the way he operates, not just with his outside shooting, but I love the way he kind of operates along the baseline as well. You know what I mean? Like his little mid-range on the baseline is water. Almost reminds me a bit of TJ McConnell, you know what I mean, who is in Indiana. But I love Peyton Pritchard, man. Peyton's dope. 14.3 points a game is what he averaged last season. 3.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists. I think that all these numbers are 47% shooting, by the way. But I think that all of these players listed, their numbers will go up. I want to talk about the Anthony Simons acquisition, which I think is a huge, huge, huge deal for the Boston Celtics. Man, the Anthony Simons acquisition is going to be huge, especially because Anthony, if you know, you know. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that this kid will be able to come in and make instant impact. Also, the Josh Minott signing is going to be, or acquisition, is going to be a big deal too. I was a fan of Josh Minott when I just watched him in preseason last year in Minnesota. I was like, bro, man, this kid Josh Minott is really good. So I really like this kid. And I know that with JT being out, again, man, there's some instant, opportunity for folks to come in and be, or instant impact opportunity, I'll say. So I think that Josh Minot is going to benefit mightily from the JT injury in that regard. Again, man, they acquired Anthony Simons in a trade. To speak of the notable roster additions for this team, they acquired Anthony Simons in a trade from Portland as a part of the Drew Holiday deal. So they lost Drew Holiday, who's a KG veteran, who provided great veteran leadership for them, timely possession, buckets, defense, etc. But they got younger by picking up Anthony Simons, and that's why I said I like that they've gotten a little bit younger, bro. That's sneaky. That's sneaky good if you're a Boston Celtics fan. George Niang, the minivan George Niang, was traded to Boston from the Hawks via a 3-team deal, which Kristaps Porzingis was shipped to Atlanta. George Niang provided great value for the Cleveland Cavaliers his years out there. I like George Niang. Again, man, he's nicknamed the dude the minivan. You know what I'm saying? He's not a svelte character by any stretch of the imagination, man. But he takes up space, and he can also fill it up from the outside. Very tough as well, man, going to the basket and stuff like that. So I like him. Again, man, I mentioned Josh Minot as a notable roster addition for these Boston Celtics. Signed in the offseason, lower cost deal with upside. I have here in my notes. So again, man, I'm all. I mean, obviously, you'd think that I was like a Boston fan, man, as excited as I am about what the season's going to look like for them. But that's Boston. I have them squeaking into a play-in situation. You know what I mean? I'm not going to count them out and say they're not going to make the playoffs. Man, did y'all forget who Jaylen Brown is? Man, this dude's a Finals MVP. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's capable of carrying this Boston team in an Eastern Conference that's depleted, and where, you know what I mean, like, we're looking for a hero in the East. You know what I mean? So, I mean, why wouldn't they still make some noise in the Eastern Conference? It's not as stacked as the West. We'll see how it plays out, but that's just my prediction. Moving on to number 9. I think that the number 9, and I'm going to keep riding with this team until one of these days, you know what I mean, they proved me right, man. I rode with them last year thinking that they would, you know what I mean, like squeak in somewhere around here, and they did not. But I think that was by and large because Scotty Barnes got hurt early in the season, and it was just kind of tough sledding for them to recover from there. And maybe they just weren't ready as much as I thought they were going to be ready, or as much as I wanted them to be ready. So this year, motherfucker, be ready. RJ Barrett was the lead anchor for that team with 21 points a game. This Toronto Raptors team, 21 points a game, 6.3 rebounds, 5.4 assists on 46, let's call it 47% shooting. So shout out to RJ Barrett, man, who's been making some really good headway in his professional career since leaving New York and being traded to Toronto, fresh out of Duke. So yeah, congratulations, man, to that brother. 19.3 points a game with Scotty Barnes, 7.7 rebounds, 5.8 assists on 44. Let's call it 45% shooting from the field. So man, again, I'm a Scotty Barnes guy, man. I love Scotty Barnes. You know what I mean? I just think that he has great upside potential. I love RJ Barrett too, obviously being a Duke fan, but I love their upside potential. Love how young these guys are. Emmanuel Quigley helps to round out their bunch of the top 3 for this team. 17.1 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists on 42% shooting from the field. He came over in the RJ Barrett deal that got him out to Toronto as well. Players to just kind of keep an eye on. I mean, obviously, Jakob Poeltl, is very solid for them, anchor in the middle. So, yeah, I'm mentioning Jakob Poeltl, which is really weird, I guess, right? But I'm a basketball fan. And then, the other guy's Grady Dick. You know what I'm saying? So, man, Grady Dick is a really interesting, he has a really interesting style of play, I'll say. So I really like Grady as a basketball player. I think that he takes a bit of a leap this season. I'm interested to see what that leap looks like. And so I'm predicting that the Toronto Raptors will finish at the number 9 seed to get into the play-in this season. I'm sorry, that's false. Notable roster additions for them. Let's talk about those really quick. I love the Brandon Ingram move that was made right before the trade deadline. And so I'm going to mention that here because the Raptors acquired small forward Brandon Ingram, as I have here in my notes, from New Orleans Pelicans at the trade deadline, giving up Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, a protected first-round pick, and a second-round pick. They signed him, however, to a 3-year, $120 million extension. So they are cool with BI being a part of their team. Let me say for Brandon Ingram, I am still upset to a degree. Even though I'm not a Lakers fan, I'm still upset that the Lakers allowed LeBron James to influence them to get rid of this kid, Brandon Ingram, because I still believe that even present day, Brandon Ingram would have been a better complement to what LA has been doing ever since than any of those other people. He decided to keep Kyle Kuzma, and then they shipped Kyle Kuzma. And I'm just like, yo, Brandon Ingram's a guy. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Ingram was a bucket in New Orleans. So I'm not just exaggerating, man. This dude can hoop. He reminds me actually of a Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? So I almost wish that he would train with KD in the offseason. I don't know if he does or if he doesn't. If KD happens to see this video, if BI happens to see this video, bro, train with KD, bro, and get like that more efficient mid-range game. And bro, you gonna be too much for this NBA. So that's Toronto. That's my prediction for Toronto. Locking in that number 8 or number 9 seed. Moving on to number 8. I'm going to talk about the Chicago Bulls. Chicago, stand up. My Chicago folks, I have them, you know what I mean, like finishing at number 8. This is somewhere about where I always expect Chicago to be, almost like Miami-ish. You know what I'm saying? Where they have a really good young nucleus anchored by Kobe White in his 20.4 points a game last season, 3.7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 40 on 45% shooting. I would actually like to see Kobe's assist numbers go up a little bit. I love Kobe as a basketball player. I think the world of him, obviously. Nikola Vucevic anchors the middle for them. His 18.5 points a game last season, 10.1 rebounds was solid, 3.5 assists as well on 53% shooting. And then anchoring their top 3 is Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, love them Giddies. 14.6 points a game, 8.1 rebounds, 7.2 assists on 46.5% shooting from the field. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think that the young nucleus of the Chicago Bulls, man, is a really good young core. They have a good young team. Just what they do to get over the hump is obviously the thing that remains to be seen. Josh Giddey was like an instant impact for them last year, which was super good. Clearly, Matas Bucelas, who I have on the graphic, is a rising young star. He's a rookie last season, had a decent season. Looking for him to take a bit more of a leap, given the opportunity and the situation that he's in. They're in Chicago. And then Kevin Huerter. I love that they have Kevin Huerter also. Kevin Huerter is a really good shooter, really cagey. You know what I mean? Like gritty, one of those ones, you know what I'm saying? Like if you at the rec center and you happen to, you know what I'm saying, and get a Kevin Huerter on the court, you already know, you know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, cool. This is one of them white guys, you know what I'm saying? So I like Kevin Huerter as a basketball player. I like him being out there and being paired with the Chicago Bulls team. Taking a look at their notable roster additions for this season. Trey Jones. I like the Trey Jones. He re-signed to a multi-year deal, so that's a feather for the Chicago Bulls. Isaac Okoro also was acquired via trade from the Cavs in exchange for Lonzo Ball. So they shipped Lonzo Ball out of there, got back some value in Isaac Okoro, who's I hate this terminology, like 3-and-D guy, but he's able to, kind of be a stretch wing to help to provide some defense, some toughness for them where they need it. So I like the Isaac Okoro, pickup for the Bulls. So yeah, I had the Bulls. My prediction is that they'll be, the number 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. Moving on to the number 7 seed, I have everybody's favorite Miami Heat. Miami always finds some way. Kudos to Eric Spoelstra, man, for always finding some way to coach up to the best of his ability, man, his personnel. The dude, I don't think the dude gets enough credit, bro, for coaching, for being one hell of a coach, man. He's an incredible coach of basketball, incredible mind he has as it pertains to the game of basketball. But Tyler Hero anchors, man, this group with 23.9 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. He averaged last year on 47.2% shooting from the field. And then you had the freshly acquired Andrew Wiggins from Golden State, was acquired by the Miami Heat in the Jimmy Butler deal. He averaged 18 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.6 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. I'm sorry, and 44.8% shooting from the field overall. Bam Adebayo anchoring the middle for this team, 18.1 points a game, 9.6 rebounds, 4.3 assists on 48.5. Let's call it 49% shooting from the field, man. So I would love to see Bam Adebayo finally take that leap where he's a 2010 guy in this league. He's still so close, man. It's still, you know what I mean? Like he's young enough to get it done. So I would like to see him, take that leap here in his late 20s. You know what I mean? Like finally take that leap to being the dude. You know what I mean? Like one of them ones here in the NBA. I have listed here on this graphic, obviously pictured, I'll say, on this graphic is one Norman Powell. So that's a huge, huge acquisition for them here in this offseason. So as we talk about now the notable offseason moves, most notable would be Norman Powell from the Clippers, who they acquired in a three-team trade with LA and Utah. Man, Norman Powell, who was snubbed as an All-Star last year, has been Norman has had a solid NBA career. He has had a very solid NBA career. But Norman, who was snubbed as an All-Star last year, who could have still made the team, had LeBron James' monkey ass let the league know ahead of time that he wasn't going to participate, so that somebody like Norman Powell could have gotten the nod. But that neither here nor there. Norman Powell is a really good basketball player, man, and he showed his ass out there in LA. With Kawhi Leonard being banged up, he got a chance to really, really establish himself and to show, you know what I mean, that he can really, really go, and maybe not just necessarily in a auxiliary, backup role. Like he can be a bona fide starter in this league and can be productive as a starter if given the opportunity. So he shined last year. I'm excited to actually see him down in Miami. The only thing that scares me is I talk about Eric Spoelstra being a really good coach. The only thing that really scares me is that, maybe he now has a leash put on him a bit. And it's kind of forced to play in a system that might not necessarily be conducive to where, how kind of his trajectory has been going in terms of, his play. However, the one thing that definitely gives me some confidence that might not happen is that Norman Powell is essentially a Jimmy Butler kind of player. He plays the game essentially just like Jimmy. He is Jimmy Butler 2.0. So I think that, man, this trade, I am high on this trade for that reason. I'm excited for it. So that, again, I have the Miami Heat predicted to finish at number 7, moving right up the numerical list here. At number 6, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, I know, hold on for a second. Hold your tomatoes. I'm saying tomatoes for the homeboy Pierre and Isaiah. I know, number 1, my guys from Milwaukee, who, you know what I'm saying, are going to be mad as shit about this one, or they'll probably be a little irritated. I think they're growing more conditioned with ignoring my fucking takes and shit, which is cool. Just cool too. But my take is my take. I think that for what it's worth, man, the Milwaukee Bucks are, still going to be relevant in the Eastern Conference. But, man, the loss of Dame, and you could say, well, Dame wasn't really doing that much anyway from a contributing standpoint, which, I don't know, man, maybe we could have that conversation and I could agree with you. You know what I mean? Like, from a success standpoint, they, in the 2 seasons with Dame there, didn't make it out of the first round. Okay. But was Dame not productive? I don't think Dame's a problem. You know what I'm saying? I think y'all got a Doc Rivers problem, to be honest. But, hey, man, I'm not here asking for Doc's job or slandering Doc in any way, or I don't want to see nobody get fired. You know what I'm saying? Like, get your money, bro, but earn it. You know what I'm saying? So that team obviously this team, they did lose Chris Middleton, obviously, who I'm a fan of Chris Middleton. I'm not just a fan of Chris Middleton. I was a fan of Chris Middleton with this core group because I understood that he provided a balance that they needed that was necessary in terms of his defensive ability, with his ability to stretch the floor, with his ability to defend at multiple levels, his ability to score at multiple levels. So I was a real huge fan of Chris Middleton, man. But that's okay. He's in the purgatory of basketball right now, my hometown of Washington, D.C. Maybe they'll make some noise, man, surprisingly, but they ain't on this list either. Number 6, man, talking about who anchors this number 6 team, in my opinion, the Milwaukee Bucks, is obviously, man, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He averaged 30.4 points a game last year, almost 12 rebounds, almost 7 assists, and on 60% shooting from the field. So I love that we see Giannis taking less threes. I love that because going downhill, man, he's a freight train. Not many people are going to stop him going downhill, but he's quick. He's added to his handle a bit. You know what I mean? So he's less likely to turn the ball over. He's got a really tight handle. I love it. When I say tight handle too, I got to keep it real. The refs allow him to carry a bunch, which I fucking hate. You know what I mean? I feel like, man, Giannis is, when I watch him sometimes, I'm like, bro, he feels like a player from my generation because we had all that hezzy in our, that was just, that shit was cut. You know what I mean? Like quick. AI was given a bit more of a leash, but you know what I mean? Like it wasn't allowed, man, in the rules, but it's being allowed for Giannis. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. They were able to acquire Kyle Kuzma, as I mentioned in that Chris Middleton move. Kyle had a decent season with them last year. I don't necessarily dislike Kyle Kuzma. You know what I mean? I would like to see Kyle become the Chris Middleton of this team if he could to some degree. But 14, nearly 15 points a game last year, nearly 6 rebounds, 2.3 assists on 43.6% shooting. So I was really high on the Kyle Kuzma pickup because I was like, man, you know what? Like, man, Kyle Kuzma, that's a steal. That's a sneaky good move. But it didn't necessarily materialize. The Bucks would pick up Miles Turner in the offseason. And if you think about Miles Turner as a replacement for Brook Lopez, okay, you know what I'm saying? I guess. They're not really strong rebounders in comparison. They enjoy living outside of the paint to shoot threes, which is actually a compliment to Giannis, who spends a lot of time driving to the basket. So as long as the middle's not clogged, then Giannis can kind of do his thing. So the Miles Turner pickup is actually similar to Brook Lopez. Similar, but I guess he scores a little bit more. So 15.6 points a game it was his average last year in Indiana. 6.5, let's call it 7 rebounds. Let's call it about 2 assists on 48% shooting from the field. My knock on Miles Turner, man, honestly, is always going to be the same. I would like to see him. I would like to see him get down low. He's like Cat. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, bro, get your big ass down low and bang a little bit, bro. Grab more rebounds down there for me too. These guys are not, or he in particular, is not a very good rebounder, which kind of fucks me up for his size. I'm like, bro, you should be getting way more boards than 6 or 7. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be, man, super long arm. You should be getting way more rebounds than that. But rebounds about effort. It's about desire. It's about intensity as well. You know what I'm saying? Like rebound is a skill set. It's not just like, oh, just because you're tall, you should get rebounds. So, man, coach and staff work with his brother, man, on his rebounding, bro. I want to see that improve. The other players, notable, I was really excited about the Kevin Porter Jr. acquisition last year. When he came over, I believe he came over from the Clippers. And so I was really excited about that. Like, man, that's a good pickup for you guys. I'm a fan of KBJ. So again, I don't think that the Bucks have a bad roster. I don't think that the Bucks have a bad roster. In fact, they may quite possibly be as good a team this year to go a step up the ladder. Maybe the 5 seed instead of the 6. Maybe. But I expect them to be somewhere around 5, 6. 6 is where I have them on this list. You know what I'm saying? And so it is what it is. Obviously, Bobby Portis, put one in the air, Bobby. You know what I'm saying? If Bobby can keep the tree out his lungs, then yeah, man, Bobby's a really good, solid basketball player. I like Bobby for my parlays, to be honest, man, because, man, Bobby comes into the game, and like I mentioned, rebounding, his brother has a proficient skill set for rebounding. He has a nose for the ball. He comes in, he gets after it. He also gets after it offensively. You know what I'm saying? So I like that he improved his mid-range game some. Clearly, we know he loves to shoot the long ball. But I love that he improved his mid-range game. And you know if he gets it down low, he's going to bang down there too to get you some blue-collar buckets. So Bobby Portis, man, again, I don't think they have a bad team or a bad roster by any stretch of the imagination. That's not why I have them at 6. The East is much better, I feel like, than people want to give credit for. And I'm going to tell you just how. But first, I want to talk about the notable roster additions for this Milwaukee Bucks team. I already mentioned Miles Turner, who signed a 4-year deal as a free agent. I think it was like 4 year, 25 million or something like that. So or something crazier. I should have probably found those notes before, just assuming, but he got paid. The Nationals, Antetokounmpo, they re-signed who was a free agent. Let's keep Giannis happy, man. Bring in the Nationals. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to do anything. He's not going to get on the court. He's just going to be a cheerleader, the ultimate energy guy. So you know what I mean? Like, hey, man, it is what it is. I guess they had an extra spot that they just wanted to throw around. I mean, Bronny's in the league. Why not have the Nationals? Is what I heard from a bunch of people last year. Cole Anthony, man, they signed as a free agent. I think he was bought out from Orlando, and Gary Harris signed as a free agent also. So again, I don't think that the Bucks have a bad roster by any stretch of the imagination. I just think they're going to end up somewhere about 6, and that six is going to make sense for you guys here in just a second. Let's see here. We are moving right along to number 5, elevating from 6, and I have the Detroit Pistons coming in at number 5. Now, in saying that, in saying as much, I do want to fly the flag of the Detroit Pistons, by saying, man, I'm a huge fan of, what this young mob did last season even. So I'm such a huge fan of what they did last season. Cade Cunningham, man, is that guy. Cade Cunningham is coming. I think that more than just saying that Cade Cunningham is coming, I think that Cade Cunningham has arrived. I think it's sufficient enough to say, without exaggeration, that Cade himself has arrived here in the NBA. The Detroit Pistons, if they weren't the most improved team last season, they probably should have been the most improved team. Based on what they did. I know that they have a roster spot open, and trying to figure out if they want to bring back Malik Beasley or not, who's a free agent, man. Fucked up that Malik Beasley. I don't know if he was cleared of those gambling allegations, or I don't, you know what I mean, like cleared utterly and completely of them. But I don't also know. I don't know that he's been signed by anybody. Last I checked, he was free agent. I'm looking it up right here as I talk, so that I'm not just kind of saying the wrong shit. But yeah, man. So I know that Malik Beasley had a great season, and he was very vital to what he contributed to the team. He made the second most threes. I think Anthony Edwards made like 1 or 2 more threes in the last game of the season to overtake Malik Beasley from being the league leader in 3-point shots made last season, man. So I am gonna look right here really quick just to see. I'm just looking just to check, but I know that they're really gonna miss his production if he is not gonna be suiting up with this team this season. So as I pull it up here, according to ESPN.com, I'll cite my source here. Malik Beasley is a free agent, unfortunately, so he is not on the roster of the Detroit Pistons. However, Cade Cunningham is still that guy, man. He averaged 26 points a game last season, 26.1 points a game to be exact, 6.1 rebounds, 9.1 assists on nearly 47% shooting from the field. So when I tell y'all that this brother has arrived, man, he has arrived. And so I love everything about what Bickerstaff has been doing in Detroit, or what he did, and what I perceive to be what he is going to continue to do. Jaden Ivey, obviously, is another key cog in their offense or in their production. 17.6 points a game last season, 1.3. I'm sorry, 1.3 offensive rebounds. Let me get his full numbers here. But again, Jaden Ivey, I really like. I like that. Jaden Ivey is, for the most part, consistent in his play. 4.1 rebounds overall is what he averaged last season. 4 assists on 46% shooting from the field. There were a couple games that I watched where I was like, man, Jaden Ivey, they get like a little bit more out of him, here at this juncture of the game. Like, man, they're going to be, you know what I'm saying? They're going to be a whole lot better as a team. Tobias Harris, I have as their, third hired gun for the team, or just at least my third, highest in terms of their prospects. With 13.7 points a game, Tobias has found a home in Detroit. 5.9 rebounds on two assists a game, on nearly 48% shooting from the field. So I love how solid Tobias has always been as a pro, from his years in Philly, but especially, man, what he brings to the team in Detroit, I think justifies me where I have them at number 5. And yeah, man, I like this. I like this roster. I like the team. I like the coaching. I like the momentum that I perceive them to be carrying from last season into this season. If they weren't the most improved team in the league last year, they damn well should have been. But I believe that they were from one season to the next. I believe that they made great strides. So, man, Jalen Duren, guys like Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, you know what I mean? Like, they just make this a very solid team. And so to me, it's no wonder, that I would pick them. Obviously, like I said, man, you might not agree with me choosing them to finish at number 5 in the Eastern Conference this season. But, man, you're going to learn today, bro. I'm trying to tell you, bro, this Detroit team is pretty solid. So I want to look at their most notable additions, roster additions. So taking a look at those, they were able to acquire Duncan Robinson from or in a sign and trade from Miami, with Simone Fontecchio going the other way. Deals for 3 years, about $48 million. He brings elite three-point shooting. He gives Detroit more spacing and off-the-ball threat from the wing. So Duncan Robinson is definitely a very good pickup for them. Man, they brought Mr. Walking Bucket himself over, Karis LeVert, who signed a 2-year contract in free agency. He's going to provide scoring off the bench, secondary playmaking, depth in the guard spots, especially when Cade is off the floor. Karis LeVert, I don't think anybody would ever fix their mouth to say this dude cannot play basketball, man. He is not a flat-out bucket. So I really like the Karis LeVert pickup out there. Paul Reed, they brought in for size, obviously. 2 years, $10.94 million. He adds front court depth, physical defense, rebound, and energy off the bench. They brought in Javonte Green also to be, another one of those size guys who can stretch the floor with his mid-range jump shot as well, and to obviously grab boards, etc., man. So that's Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I like Detroit. I think that Detroit will end up being, kind of middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference. Moving on to number 4, the Atlanta Hawks. I am not as high on this Atlanta Hawks team as many people are, but as I went through the episode and I had to kind of think about it, or went through the research, that led into this one, I was like, man, you know what? I'm kind of reminded of some things. Kind of looking at the roster, I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I guess I can be as high as number 4. I guess I can be as high as number 4 on Atlanta. It is justified. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, man, they got Ice Trae Young, 24.2 points a game. He averaged last year, 3.1 rebounds, 11.6 assists. Let's just call it 12 assists a game. He averaged on 41% shooting from the field, man. So, man, if Trae's going to do anything, he's going to score the ball. He's going to dish the rock. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get that from Trae. So that's Trae. I expect his numbers obviously to go up and for him to continue to improve. He's talking mad shit, you know what I mean, now in his own podcast. But he has this back and forth confrontation going with Pat Bev, you know what I mean, about, man, like being scared of him and, man, who should be afraid of him. And, you know what I mean? Like, Trae definitely lets it all hang out, man, when he's on the court. So I love Trae anchoring this team and leading this team, this young Atlanta Hawks team. Jalen Johnson also, man, averaged nearly 19 points a game last season, 10 rebounds, 5 assists on 50% shooting from the field. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jalen Johnson is a very good player out of Duke, man. So I like Jalen. Obviously, like I said, man, I'm a Duke fan and have been since, man, Duke played UNLV back in the early 90s when everybody was on the bandwagon for UNLV. I just rooted for Duke in the game, and I've been a Duke fan ever since. Shout out to Grant Hill, Bobby Hurley, you know what I mean, and those guys. But Dyson Daniels obviously helps anchor this team as well. 14.1 points a game last season, 5.9 rebounds, 4.4 assists on 49% shooting from the field. So everything I saw from Dyson Daniels when I watched Atlanta games last year, like he continued to grow on me every game. I was more and more every game. I was like, bro, I really like this kid, Dyson Daniels, as a basketball player. Zachariah Richeche, they have as well, man, who is the Frenchman who was a rookie last season. So coming into his second season, I look for him to continue to get a little bit better. And I saw some things in him as a player last year that I really liked as well. So man, that's why I have them, as high as number 4. They bought a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, which is a really, really good pickup in a signing trade for Minnesota. Hawks gave Minnesota 2027 second round pick cash and used a trade exception. And so they locked Nickeil in for 4 years, $62 million, bro. So Nickeil got his money. They brought in Luke Kennard also in a free agent signing. So they're adding more wing depth, more shooting, etc. I feel like this Atlanta team is I feel like they have a very fluid roster, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Where they just seem to me to be the kind of team that's going to get up and down a lot, and they're going to swing the ball around to just kind of find the open shooter and the gaps in zone defenses, etc. Man, and just kind of knock down jumpers as they can. I just feel like they're fluid in that way in terms of their build. So that's just my perception of what I see from their roster. But I have them finishing as predicted as the number 4 team in the Eastern Conference coming into this season. I'm going to get into the top 3 now for the Eastern Conference, but if you have not done so before we do that, man, like this video if you're finding value in the content. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be getting more NBA content up, obviously, throughout the season. If you are not familiar, man, through last season, this is my shit. You know what I'm saying? I like football, man, but I love me some basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, basketball is my first love as an athlete as well. So, moving right along to number 3. The Orlando Magic. I have the Orlando Magic finishing in the top 3 in the Eastern Conference this year. And I don't feel crazy for picking them to finish top 3. Another Duke guy. Paolo Banchero is a fucking dog, bro. And he has continued to emerge. 25.9 points a game last season on nearly 8 rebounds, nearly 5 assists, 45.2% shooting from the field. And so, man, 6'10", 250. Know that he worked, worked on the mass a little bit more in the offseason. Know that he worked on the game a little bit more in the offseason. I expect his numbers to go up. I expect his production to be better. Man, Paolo's that dude, bro. And so I really what is there not to like about Paolo Banchero if you are a basketball fan, whether you like the Orlando Magic or not? I'm not an Orlando fan. I'm just a basketball fan, but Paolo's a fucking beast. His teammate, Franz Wagner, is a fucking beast too, bro. Franz averaged 24.2 points a game last season, nearly 6 rebounds, nearly 5 assists on 46.3% shooting from the field. So Franz ain't no punk either, bro. Like, Franz can hoop. They were able to acquire Desmond Bane. I really like this Desmond Bane acquisition. I was saying in a previous episode where I talked about the free agency, how I started to feel like Desmond Bane didn't really fit in Memphis anymore. And for some reason, he was under like that old, before Ja started having all the gun issues and I know slight to Ja, or the injuries began to plague the team that kind of took away from their Memphis. I'm speaking of their momentum, where Desmond Bane was very valuable in that roster. I just feel like last year I was just like, damn, bro, Desmond Bane seems to be like out of place. And so it was good to see him find place in Orlando. 19 points a game is what he averaged last season, 6 rebounds, 5.3 assists. So that is what he's bringing, 48% shooting to the Orlando Magic. Also, when you have guys like Mo Wagner, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard not to believe in this team. Mo, I think, tore it in ACL or something like that last year. So he should be, back and ready, with the fresh knee. And, like, his production, obviously, You know what I mean, is going to be vital. So I'm excited to see what Orlando brings to the table this year. Let's talk about, again, their notable roster additions. As I mentioned, they obviously brought in Desmond Bain, acquired in exchange for Cole Anthony, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, 4 unprotected first-round picks and a pick swap. He brings excellent three-point shooting and career, 39 to 41% scoring off the catch and two-way capabilities. It fills a big need for perimeter shooting and spacing around Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So that's going to be a huge pickup for them, man. A very valuable, very vital pickup. I see it being. So I'm excited for this pickup, man. I'm really excited to see how Desmond Bain fits in Orlando. They brought in Tyus Jones also, signed to a 1-year deal, who was out here playing a backup point guard role, a point guard role, I'll say, in Phoenix for a couple years. What Tyus brings, his veteran playmaking, good assist to turnover ratio, three-point capability, helps the Magic's offense flow, especially off the bench or in second units, man. So again, I'm predicting that this Orlando Magic team finishes in the top 3 in the Eastern Conference. Let me know if you agree or not. Moving on to number 2 as we near or round out the top 2. I mean, who else could we be choosing at number 2 but the New York Knicks? I think the Knicks finished at number 2 off of a stellar season last year. Obviously, man, I saw them make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, nearly make it to the finals, to the NBA Finals to represent the Eastern Conference, man. But they got outdone by a more hungry, more talented Indiana team. And so, yeah, man, it was what it was. But I got New York being the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, a much depleted Eastern Conference this season, being led by Jalen Brunson, obviously, man. Jalen's been a dog for the last couple seasons. Actually, he's been a dog since he was in Dallas, and Dallas decided not to pay him for some stupid ass. Well, Dallas clearly doesn't want to pay players, given that they just gave Luka Doncic away. But 26 points a game is what he averaged last season in New York. 2.9, let's call it 3 rebounds, 7.3 assists on nearly 49% shooting from the field. Man, Jalen Brunson was clutch in every way last season. I think he was or received the honor of Clutch Player of the Year, which is much deserved. If anybody's ever gotten that award and not deserved it, man, it wasn't this dude. He was totally clutch in every way last year. And continued to be clutch through the playoffs, hitting just big shot after big shot after big shot when they needed him most, when his team needed him most. Man, Jalen stepped up and delivered. And so, man, hats off to Jalen Brunson, that guy. Karl Anthony Towns anchors this team that I'm predicting will be the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference with 24 points a game last season, nearly 13 rebounds, 3.1 assists on, let's call it 53% shooting from the field. I like to see Cat get a little bit more busy, man, in the post. Cat's a bucket, like, realistically, man. People can hate on Cat all they want. Man, Cat can play ball. I just don't like to see him fall in love with the outside jump shot so much. And I feel like in New York, he didn't do that a lot, which, you know what I mean, was a lot better until I saw him start to do it, and then it started to piss me off. But I think they need to make a more concerted effort to feed Cat, and they brought in Mike Brown. They fired Thibodeau, which I didn't necessarily agree with. You know, Tibbs can be a bit stuck in his ways and a bit, I don't know, man, like ornery and stubborn about, doing the thing the way that he does it. And every coach is that way. But hopefully Mike Brown, you know what I mean? Like, Mike Brown's a really good coach too, quietly, man. He's not respected for being as good of a coach as he actually is, but he was able to turn around the group in Sacramento and get them into space until he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? But to get buy-in from these guys, I'm hoping he's able to in New York, man, and that he can get them in a space of, perhaps championship, like legitimate championship contention. Mikal Bridges, who came over from my beloved New Jersey / Brooklyn Nets, 17.6 points a game is what he averaged last season. Numbers are way down, man. 3.2 rebounds, 3.7 assists on 50% shooting. I feel like Mikal, this was legit. He did change up his jump shot form at the outset of the season, which I thought was fucking crazy, because I'm like, bro, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You don't wait until this stage of your career to now try to develop some weird high release. Like, what are you doing, bro? Like, stick to what's working. You a bucket. You know what I'm saying? But I understand that changing up the form can help you get shots off faster, help, to keep defenders from being able to contest them. I get it. I understand all that stuff, bro. But I hated it. Motherfucker hated it because he struggled in gameplay, you know what I mean? Trying to get into a rhythm with this new shooting form. And it was fucking trash. So hopefully he goes back to the old shooting form. Josh Hart is Josh Hart. We know what he brings, man. He brings everything. He's a glue guy if there ever was a glue guy. He is a Swiss Army knife if there ever was a Swiss Army knife. He is a tough motherfucker, bro. I love me some Josh Hart. So that's, obviously Josh Hart. OG Anunoby, you know what I mean? Like, man, beast mode. OG Anunoby is one of those guys that you don't necessarily expect OG to do a whole bunch, but in those games where you get him to drop 15, 16 points, you know what I mean, grab like 8, 9 rebounds, it's like, damn, your OG came to play. And he can hit the outside shot too. So I love OG Anunoby as a basketball player. So that is why I chose the Knicks, man, to be the second best team rather, in the Eastern Conference this upcoming season. Notable roster additions will be Jordan Clarkson, who signed a 1-year contract as a free agent, expected to play a major role off the bench as a scoring spark. They got my guy Gershon Yabusele. I did a whole video last year lobbying for Gershon Yabusele to get a job in the NBA after he dunked on LeBron. No, actually after he had a really good, solid showing in the Olympics last summer. I was like, man, Gershon Yabusele deserves another opportunity, man. Like, y'all drafting Bronny and shit, get this guy a chance. And yeah, he got his shot with Philly last year. So good to see that he's still in the league. Signed a 2-year, $12 million deal with a player option here in New York. Adds depth and versatility in the front court behind the starters. Kind of Charles Barkley, undersized power forward guy. You know what I'm saying? But I think realistically he's probably like 6'6". They say he's 6'8", but I don't think he's that tall. I think he might be like 6'7" if he's lucky. But like a 6'6", you know what I mean, power forward. But he's tough. You know what I mean? He can hit the outside shot. When it's falling, it's falling. When it's not, it's awful. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, gritty around the basket. He's a really good defender. That is for certain. Nobody could ever take away from that. He defends, and so that I like about him. They also signed Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon signed on a 1-year deal as a veteran guard. And I feel like Milwaukee ruined Malcolm Brogdon's career somehow. And maybe it wasn't Milwaukee. It was just that like Malcolm got hurt, and they knew. You know what I mean? So like his career just kind of been like in the shitter since. I was shocked. Back when he was with Milwaukee, and Milwaukee got rid of him. I was like, why the fuck would Milwaukee trade Malcolm Brogdon, bro? Like, no, bro. He's a perfect compliment for what they did. And his career has just not been the same. So hopefully he has a really good season in New York, man, because I would like to see him, catch an extension, man, and, find a home. And maybe Mike Brown will be the perfect coach for that brother doing so. And so, man, as we get into my prediction for the number 1 seed, the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference, who the fuck else would it be but the Cleveland Cavaliers? Come on, bro. Come on. They were the second best team overall in the NBA last season. Of course, the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference last season. And how could they not be the number 1 team? Again, they ain't lose nothing. They ain't lose a thing from their squad last year in terms of pieces, so the chemistry is still there. They had a chance to learn from what they went through last season. They haven't come out of nowhere, and by many people's estimation, to be as good as they were. Winning streaks galore, historical season for them, nearly the greatest season in franchise history, but they definitely put up one of the greatest seasons in franchise history for them last year. 24 points a game was their anchor, Donovan Mitchell. 4.5 rebounds, caught it 5 rebounds a game, 5 assists. Donovan, for the most part, like he really faded the black in the playoffs. The weird injuries, the game missed because of. It's like, bro, this is a critical juncture, and I get it, man. Injuries are injuries. If a player can't play, they can't play. But it's like, bro, in the playoffs, man, you gotta find it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta find it, because I feel like the game that he missed when he came back, they just weren't They just weren't the same as a team. It's almost like they had been defeated already, like they were deflated somehow in his absence. And he even seemed like a bit of a different player. So maybe that was due to the injury. I cannot remember right now. It slips my mind exactly what the injury was, or what it was reported to be. But whatever it was, man, it was no good for them. They just broke down at the wrong time. And the race to a championship, man, it is a race of attrition. As much as it in luck. You know what I mean? As much as it is anything else. It's like, man, the healthy team often, ends up being the team that wins, as we saw Jason Tatum go down with the Achilles, and then right behind that, in the final series, we see Tyrese Halliburton, or in the Eastern Conference Finals, or in the finals, or rather, we see Tyrese Halliburton go down with the same. I'm not saying they would have won, but I'm saying it would have been a little more competitive. I wish he wouldn't have got hurt. But anyway, speaking of this Cleveland Cavs team being number one, Darius Garland helps anchor them also. 20.6 points a game he averaged last season, 2.9 rebounds, 6.7 assists on 47.2% shooting from the field. Love Evan Mobley also. I want to see Evan's numbers go up. I think, again, he should be one of those 20 and 10 players, so I'd like to see him, what I'm saying, like break into that space, man, because he's gifted and talented enough as a basketball player to be that, and then some. But he averaged about 19 points a game last season, 9.3 rebounds, 3.2 assists on nearly 56% shooting from the field. I love the DeAndre Hunter addition. You know what I mean? Like, I was really high on that trade when it happened with Atlanta. So that was a huge acquisition for the Cleveland Cavaliers, given their roster construction. I thought obviously DeAndre helped to bring them an additional score, and not just like somebody who might score, like he's a very efficient scorer, efficient outside shooter, efficient shooter in the mid-range. You know what I mean? Like, the dude is a great defender as well. So I just felt like he gave them definite great wing presence. Also length for defense, etc., man. So it was, it was a great pickup. And so I still think that very highly of that component to their team also. Jared Allen, of course, the fro. Ever since fucking Kevin Durant forced my Brooklyn team to get rid of Jared, man, he's been an anchor for the Cleveland Cavaliers, man, and just a huge part of what they do, what they've grown into. And so shout out to Jared Allen. I'm not sure how much, growth you could hope to expect from Jared. He's a high energy guy. He scores when he needs to score. You know what I mean? I don't think that anybody expects him to be like a bona fide, like a Jokic type in the league. But if he became that would be crazy. But I think he's really solid, you know what I mean, for what he contributes to the team. And that's enough for the Cavaliers. Taking a look at their notable roster additions. Man, oh man, I am excited if this is to be a thing. Because I feel like we haven't seen this brother play basketball in so long. I almost forgot Lonzo Ball was still in the NBA. Seriously, bro. Like, man, if Lonzo can actually lace him up, get it done, man, I'm excited about that, the prospects of that acquisition of Lonzo here in Cleveland. But Lonzo was acquired from the Chicago Bulls in exchange for Ike Okoro. What he brings is playmaking, defensive versatility, the size and length at the guard spot. Useful, especially given questions around the availability of Darius Garland early in the season. So even if not necessarily, to be a starter type, like, of course, okay, that's cool. A starter in place of Darius Garland if he can't go. He missed quite a few games last season as well. But a good piece for Cleveland, maybe to fit in conjunction with some of the starters, you know what I mean, with different lineups, right? So that might be, you know what I mean, that might be a good thing for him, or for us to look forward to, with seeing Lonzo in the mix. I'm sure Kenny Atkinson will figure it out, one way or the other. Excuse me. And so I am looking forward to, a really good season from Lonzo Ball, man, a great contribution in a Cleveland uniform. I think this would be a great, additional kind of layer and portion to his story, man. So let's go, Lonzo. They also added Thomas Bryant, signed as a backup center. I think Thomas, if I'm not mistaken, was in Indiana as well, or Indiana, I'll say. I can't remember exactly where he was, but I believe it was like Indiana or something like that. But he signs to be a backup, to the Fro. So I don't think that's a bad thing. Larry Nance Jr. rejoins the team, same team that he and his daddy played for. If nothing else, you know what I mean? Larry Nance Jr. comes in and he gives you the equivalent of what Tristan Thompson is giving you off the bench. You know what I mean? So, how could that be bad? How could that be bad? But yeah, man. So that's this Cleveland team, and like I said, I really like this Cleveland team. I did a couple videos on them last year just to have people put some respect on their name, bro. I didn't think that there was enough being said about them, and they weren't being celebrated enough. And so I was like, nah, bro, we gonna switch this up. And yeah, so I did a few episodes praising them. I have them clearly as a class at the Eastern Conference this year. If you agree, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, that's cool too. Let me know that you disagree. Let me know what your top 10 is, and how that list shapes up. I'd be curious to see how it stacks, how it stacks against mine, but not just to see how it stacks against mine. I'd just be curious to, kind of know what you guys are thinking. Before we get into a recap of the standings, I want to talk about some teams that are on the bubble. And so these teams, especially this one team in particular, man, the Charlotte Hornets, it was really hard for me to keep, except of course I have this Toronto bias, but it was really hard for me to keep them out of the top 10. They didn't win a lot of games last season, but I liked the direction they were trending into. And I love their young roster, this young core, Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, and clearly LaMelo Ball. Man, I think they have a really, really good core group of talent. Man, their upside is crazy high. So they're one of those bubble teams. I wouldn't be shocked if they squeaked in there in that playoff space. Playoff to play-in space, rather. They might surprise us and become the Detroit from last season, this season. You know what I mean? Like much improved, drastic improvement, which I think is possible. The next team would be the Philadelphia 76ers. I just can't waste any more takes on Philadelphia, bro. I can't, bro. I just can't do it anymore. Sorry. Joel Embiid, it's your fault. Paul George, it's your fault. You know what I'm saying? But I love Tyrese Maxey. You know what I mean? VJ Edgecombe clearly comes in with, man, another level of, excitement. My guy Kelly Oubre's out there. I'm a fan of Philly and the core group of individuals that they have out there. But I'm just like, bro, I can't keep wasting. I can't keep wasting seasons. You know what I mean? Like hoping that Joel Embiid will be able to put it together and play a full season. Even the seasons that he pursues MVP is just, man, the cat's got 40 games, in those knees, man. And that's it. And then it's a wrap. So it is possible that, Joel gets it together this season, man. He has a man of a season. You know what I'm saying? And if he does, bro, he does. And it will be dope to see. Because at this point, man, his career is near panning out to be a disappointment, bro. Just because of his potential. It's just like, damn, bro. He's going to be one of those players, as he's setting it up to be one of those players that we're like,
man, but imagine if Joel Embiid would have been able to stay healthy, though.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like it. I don't like it. So anyway, just to recap the Eastern Conference predictions, in my opinion, I had Cleveland at number 1, New York at number 2, Orlando at number 3. I have Atlanta at number 4, the Detroit Pistons at number 5, the Milwaukee Bucks at 6, Miami at number 7, Chicago at number 8, Toronto at 9, and man, we can't forget about the C's. Give it up to Boston. Jaylen Brown's gonna handle his business this season. I'm looking forward most to what kind of season Jaylen Brown's gonna have as the leader, because for a while you kept hearing in the legacy media space him saying,
you to separate they don't. They're not going to work out. It's just there's not going to be. You just can't have them both on the team when they're both capable of running their own team.
Well, he gets his chance to run his team now, so I want to see it. I want to see what it looks like, man. And so anyway, that is the Eastern Conference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break from the predictions episode, and I'm going to end this one here. We'll call it part one. I'll come back with part two where I give my West predictions, and where we can argue a bit in the comments or you know what I mean, like exchange agreement one way or the other surrounding the Western Conference, man. But that has been the basis of this episode. Do me a huge favor. Once again, if you haven't done so already, like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. I will catch you in the next episode. Look forward. Until then, take care of yourselves. Blessings.